Yes, I hear you. Oops.
So we're just waiting a few moments for other folks to sign on.
I'm sorry. I realized I was not on mute when I told my cat I could hear it. Sorry. I might have sounded pissy.
We'll get started in a few minutes.
Sure.
How are we on the quorum for Warren? We've got John, Cindy, Kim, John, Amy. We got quorum. Yep, I got you. Hey, Kim.
Yeah.
A couple of things for the meeting for you to be aware of. We do have quorums in both counties with including people in the room.
Okay.
Heather is on, but she's not feeling well. So
Okay.
we're going to ask Tammy, are you available? Tammy DeLorme, are you available to take motions and conduct the votes for Washington County? Tammy DeLorme is on mute, maybe stepped away for a moment, but we will ask her if she can take the motions and conduct the votes for Washington County.
Okay. Yeah, because Washington has a few to do.
Yeah, they got a backlog here. Yeah, we do, because the board is actually 6 members now, it's down to 6. So a quorum of 4 would be a majority of the board. So we got a quorum. Okay, is Tammy DeLorme on?
She might have stepped away.
Must have stepped away a moment. We also have some guests from the Addictions Care Center that are going to be joining us.
Fabulous. That's great.
So maybe we'll just give Tammy another moment when she's back, and we can call to order.
Okay.
And I see Keith's here. Hello, Keith.
Hey, Rob. Kelly Fahrenkoff won't be joining us. She has a conflict with a medical appointment she had forgotten.
Okay, fine. We're going to conduct some business first once we open the meeting, and then we'll turn it over to you for presentation after our business. Yep.
Great.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Rob, can we move this meeting outside?
It's one of those days, right?
Oh, it's
I'll
beautiful.
second that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the sun went in.
Well, we're all virtual, so you're welcome to walk outside with your device if you can.
Do whatever you
Take it.
need. I like it.
Oh, good. I see a note from Amy. She was going to have to hop off early, but she's going to be able to stay. Thank you.
Good.
Is Tammy DeLorme back yet and available yet?
I'm sorry. Yep, I just got here.
Okay, Tammy, I have a question for you. We haven't opened the meeting yet, but Heather is on, but she's not feeling well. Would it be possible that you could take the motions and conduct the votes for Washington County?
Yes, as long as Warren goes first. I can follow your lead.
Kim, if you don't mind, then take the lead and go ahead and open the meeting.
Okay, great. Then I call the, I'm sorry, I was looking at the minutes there for a second.
Well, guess,
I
yeah,
call-
actually,
sorry,
I
what
guess
was it?
I guess Washington County should do their organizational meeting first.
Okay, then we'll wait on that. Sorry, Tammy, I can't take the lead on that.
So
Then I come to that.
I can cover these items. It should be in your packet. You should have a separate agenda for the 2021 organizational meeting for the Washington County Community Services Board. We have election of officers this year. Heather Adams Wendell has agreed to another term for chair, the 2-year term for our officers. Tammy DeLorme has agreed to remain as vice chair. And Crystal Lawrence will be serving as secretary to the Community Services Boards. So we need to have a vote by Washington County to accept the slate and to elect these folks as officers for the 2-year term.
Is there a
Mary
motion
Murphy-
for?
Mary
Sorry.
Murphy in the room here, Mary Murphy made a motion.
Wonderful. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Fabulous. So then do we ask for discussion? Or just go to votes?
You could ask if there's any discussion on this, sure.
Well, I don't imagine there is. I just figured it was supposed to be happening. Any discussion?
Nay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay,
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. The second 2 items we can do together is to establish the joint meetings of the Warren and Washington Community Services Boards to be held on the second Thursday of each month at 3 p.m. With no meeting to be held in August of 2021. And then to appoint the standing committees. And we had distributed a listing of the committee assignments. So we need a motion and a second to advance these.
So moved. Amy.
thank you. Is that for Washington County?
Yes, who made the motion?
Sorry, I thought we were doing it for everybody all together. That was Amy, and I can't make a motion for Washington
I'll
County.
make the motion.
Okay, Linda, thank you.
Is there a second for Washington County?
Mary Murphy seconded.
And so now we wait for Warren to do that and we discuss, or are we ready?
No, I'm sorry. They conducted their organizational meeting in January. Washington County is just catching up because they didn't have a quorum.
Okay, I'm so sorry to all of you. I came home to have this meeting, but I pulled into my yard literally at like 3:02, so I am not organized at all.
That's all right.
So then, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for that. We've conducted the Washington County organizational meeting for 2021. And now, Kim, I would turn it over to you. You can call the regular March meeting to order.
Okay, I'd like to call the March meeting to order. First order of business, we have to approve the minutes from the January meeting, right?
Yes, Warren County needs to approve the organizational meeting and the regular meeting minutes from January 14th.
Can we do both of those together? Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion from anybody in Warren County? I see Cindy's hand.
Cindy.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Is that Holly? Okay.
I will
Fantastic,
second.
Holly. Okay, any discussion or questions about any of the committees or anything, guys? All in favor, please unmute your mics and say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent, motion carried. Warren,
Okay, Washington County needs to approve Minutes of the September 10th, 2020 meeting, the October 9th, 2020 meeting, and the January 14th joint meeting.
If anyone want to make that all at one time? One motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'm a train wreck. Thank you. A second? Is there a second for Washington County?
Mary
Maggie?
Murphy, seconded.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're good, Rob?
Okay, good. Now we're going to move on to some other new business. Keith Stack's on the call also from the Addictions Care Center, but we have agreed that we're going to go ahead and reorder the agenda and conduct our business first, as some members need to hop off of the call. So we're going to hop down to our new business. We've had a resignation received from Maureen Schmidt. There's a copy in the packet of an email that she sent me. Dear Rob and Community Services Board members, it is time for me to resign from the Warren County Community Services Board. I was very proud to be a member of the board, of a board that works so diligently to bring needed services to our community. This highly dedicated group led by Rob that has achieved so many goals that make our community a great place to live and work. It has been an honor to get to know all of you and see all the special projects come to fruition through your hard work. Thank you for this opportunity to serve on this board, and I wish you all well in the years ahead. Please accept my resignation as of March 1st, 2021. Sincerely, Maureen Schmidt. So I believe we need to take a vote to accept the resignation, Kim.
Okay. After having heard the resignation, do I have anyone from Warren County willing to make a motion to accept that?
I will.
Did you catch who that was?
Joan?
Okay. Do I have a second?
Jim Dexter, I'll second that.
Thank you, Jim.
Joan and Jim.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Or abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, then we also have a nomination to bring forward of Christian Hanchen. Chris has been joining our meetings for some time, following along. Chris is the successor to Maureen in the Warren County DSS Commissioner position. So we sort of have a long-standing tradition of having our county social service commissioners as part of our board. And so we would be pleased if we could have Christian join us as a member of the board now that Maureen is stepping off.
Great. Do we have to also take a vote on that too, Rob?
Yes, we would need a vote to advance that nomination to the county board of supervisors. They make the appointment.
Okay,
I
well,
will,
Christian.
I second it.
Got somebody making a motion, thank you. It goes ahead without. Okay, great, awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Great, awesome. Christian, welcome aboard. It's fantastic to have you on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, welcome aboard.
Thanks,
We look
Rob.
forward to working with you.
Thanks.
Appreciate your willingness to serve. Okay, so for Washington County, we also had a resignation received from Patty Hunt. I'm sorry, I don't have a copy of that for the packet. She called me and just sort of verbally explained to me that she was retiring as the public health director in Washington County and was just needing to take some time from some of her commitments. So she felt like that was the opportune time for her to step off of the Community Services Board. So from Washington County, we need a vote to accept resignation of Patty Hunt.
Anybody willing to?
Mary Murphy makes a motion.
Is there a second? Can I?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye. Pass. Rob, will we do something to show appreciation to the two of them?
Yes, we certainly can. We've had kind of different approaches to this in the past. Sometimes with long-term members, we have secured like a small plaque, expressing our appreciation for their service. I would be willing to do that for both Maureen and Patty served for long periods of time on the boards. So yes, we can do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying what specifically, whatever's consistent with, past practice, but certainly a letter of appreciation to them.
Okay, we can do a letter or a plaque. We'll discuss it and figure out appropriate response for that.
Thank you. And it
Okay.
looks like you have
On
some
that,
nominations.
So then I think we can do these together. We have two nominations. Lisa Mead is currently the Granville Senior High School principal. And she did send me a very nice short bio that's in your packet. So that describes a little bit of information about Lisa and her background and her interest in the matters that the boards deal with. She does specifically express an interest in destigmatizing mental health. Linda Wright, actually from our office, made the recommendation of Lisa. She's worked with her on different projects and situations in the community and felt that Lisa was someone who was very passionate and committed to the issues that the boards deal with. So, and then we also have a nomination that Mary Murphy brought forward for Adele Potter. Adele Potter is currently independent contractor, physical therapist. She does some contracting work for CWI, but I have had a discussion with Adele about the board's not typically putting on somebody who's employed by an agency, but we have in the past have had board members that were independent contractors. Like if you recall, Dr. Hominick did a lot of work with CWI. And we do have the form that we ask the board members to fill out each year that has the code of ethics and the statement of disclosure of any conflict of interest. And so we just ask when somebody has some sort of financial interest like that, an independent contracting relationship, that they disclose that and then that they abstain from votes related to that particular agency. Yeah, we'll get to it. It's on here. So I think we could advance these two nominations together in one motion.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the
Move
motion.
that. Thank you.
Mary
Linda.
Murphy seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Think you got it, Rob?
We got it. Very good. For the new board members, I will be scheduling an orientation meeting. So I'll probably try to send out a poll and see if we can get everybody together on a Zoom call at the same time and just do a little bit of orientation about the board and our history and our business and such. So look forward to that. I do believe Lisa and Adele were going to tune in via YouTube today, so they may be watching us today and having an opportunity to review some of our materials and our business. Okay, with all that said, I think our business is out of the way. Kim, I will kick it back to you I don't think we ever did introductions, and we probably should for the record. Note, everyone that's present. We do have some folks in the room too, so we want to make sure that they're on record as being part of the meeting.
I think that's a great idea. I was just thinking about that too, Rob, because I was curious to see who was all in the room. I'm trying to see who everybody, page through
Sorry,
everybody.
I was so anxious to get that business done.
No, that's really good. That's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the best I can. I'm actually on my mobile unit, so I'm not in front of my computer with this a little bit. So I'm going to do my best with being able to note everybody. And if you could unmute your microphone when I say your name that I see on the screen, share who you are and what county you're from, that would be fantastic. Rob, do you want to start with the room there and show us everybody that's there and have them introduce themselves?
Sure. So I am Rob York, Director of Community Services. Also in the room here.
Crystal Lawrence, Secretary to Community Services. Barry Murphy, Washington County.
That's it for here.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and start. My name is Kim Brayton. I'm with Warren County. The first person I see on my screen here is Linda.
I'm in Washington County.
Then I see Amy.
Amy Malloy, Warren County.
Jim Dexter,
Okay.
Warren County.
Fantastic. And I see Keith next.
Yep, Keith Stack with the Addictions Care Center of Albany.
Excellent. Tammy, I see you.
Tammy DeLorme, Washington County.
And Christian.
Chris Hanchett, Warren County Department of Social Services.
Excellent. And Cindy.
Cindy Watson, Warren County.
Next I see Holly.
Holly Arian, Warren County.
I see Lisa.
Lisa Kutu may have stepped away. She is she works in our office, the Office of Community Services. She's Deputy Director for Community Services and also serves as our Adult SPOA and AOT Coordinator.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Hi, Lisa. And then we have Heather.
Hi, Heather Adams, Wendell, Washington County.
Feel better, Heather. And then I have one person, looks like they've dialed in, and I unfortunately don't have the name on who that is.
Hi, my name is Susan Juba. I'm with the Addiction Care Center of Albany. I'm at the Queensberry Women's Residence.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Susan. I feel like I'm doing it. I don't know if any of you guys remember Romper Stomper Bomper Boo when you're, I see you. Okay.
Her last name.
Anyhow, okay. So I think, did I miss anybody? I think I saw everybody there.
Zuba.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so then, Rob, after the introductions, I think, is it okay to go ahead and move on to the presentation? Are we ready to do that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So our presentation today is the Addiction Care Center. Would you care to introduce the folks that are going to be speaking with us, Rob?
Sure. I'll let Keith and Susan introduce themselves again when we get started here, but just to introduce the item, I did ask Keith and some of his folks if they would want to join us today to provide an update on their progress, not only with the services they have currently, providing and developed in our communities, both the women's residential program on Glenwood Avenue, and also the some of the SOAR projects that they have going, as well as using the SOAR project as a way to develop some jail-based services. And then also in the planning works, we still have the men's residence in Queensbury that I know that they will speak to. So I just want to turn it over here to Keith and Susan, however you want to organize your presentation. And those were the sort of main things I was hoping you could share with the board. I think they have also been very interested to know how our agencies have sort of been weathering the COVID pandemic, the impacts to your agency, how you weathered the 20% withholds and that sort of thing. So turn it over to you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rob. I'll let Susan speak to, I'll go through, our programs in a general way and let Susan speak to the day-to-day operations at 79 Glenwood, our women and children's residence. So I'll start with 68 Quaker Road. We had purchased 68 Quaker Road, and we're planning a 22-bed men's stabilization, rehabilitation, and we probably will add reintegration residential services to that program. In December 2019, the Town of Queensbury Planning Board approved our site plan for the project. The site plan is based on architectural and engineering work that was contracted by DASNY, the Dormitory Authority, and Oasis. Architecture Plus from Troy did the feasibility study and turned the feasibility study into the site plan submission for us. So Town of Queensbury was great. Everything occurred in one night. They approved the project, very similar to 79 Glenwood, quite honestly, the same services, slightly, more residents, but the same services. COVID slowed us down. We were slated to purchase the property in March of 2020. Because of COVID, banks, everything just kind of ground to a halt. But we did close on the property in June of 2020. We allowed the owners to stay in the building until August 19th. We closed on June 19th. We allowed them to stay in the building until August 19th, just so that they could move the medical equipment that they had. That was all done. Then post August 19th, we were able to start the final design process and the development of the construction bid documents. So we started doing that. Again, the project's been moving slower because of COVID, but we had to get a survey done. We had to do water tests, phase 1 environmental survey, hazardous material survey, completed all of that work probably by December of 2020, and then Architecture Plus and an engineering firm started doing the design work and the drafting of the construction bid documents, which is complete. Those documents are being sent to DASNY and Oasis for review tomorrow. And those are considered the 100% documents. At that point, the project now is well within the budget of the Oasis capital contract we have. We have all of the, the municipal approvals necessary. We anticipate going out to bid for the renovation construction of 68 Quaker Road by the end of April. Oasis and DASNY, anticipate about a month to do their review, and then for the architecture and engineering firm to make any changes to the final document if any are required. So that project will go out to bid. We try and keep the bid period tight so that we're not spending months out to bid and then having to choose a contractor. It would be my hope that, we'd start renovation by July 1 of the project at the latest. That's DASNY and Oasis, agree that that's a very reasonable date to do that. Conceivably, we could be done with the renovations in December of this year. It's not unlike the timetable that we were operating under for 79 Glenwood in 2019. We started, I think BBL Construction applied for the building permits in May of that year, and started the work in June. So so we're on track to open that project this year. And again, we're providing the 3 levels of residential care: stabilization, which is ancillary detox, rehabilitation, similar similar in scope, I guess, to a inpatient 28-day program, and then reintegration, which is supportive living. We've been operating 2 similar programs here in Albany since 2018. We find that they're very successful. The amount of time that an individual can stay in treatment is much longer than the classic 28-day treatment program. And by offering 3 levels of care, we can keep them within the service program for quite a while, theoretically up to 6 months, depending upon their progression. We do get managed care authorization, so the private payers, we get authorization periodically, but we've had a really good relationship with CDPHP, MVP, Fidelis Care, Straight Medicaid, and we found that the programs are working very well. The new regulatory model, and we're in a lot of ways we've been able to combine more robust mental health treatment and physical health care treatment in with the substance use disorder treatment. We have doctors affiliated with the program, prescribing medication-assisted treatment. We have a psychiatric nurse practitioner that's in every program throughout the week. We have a vocational coordinator. We have RNs and LPNs on staff. So, we have a lot of skilled medical staff in addition to the SUD clinical staff on site daily. So it's kind of a intense, level of care. And I think almost 3 years into it now, we are seeing very positive results, kind of a holistic approach to treating the resident. So that's, where we are with 68 Quaker Road. We have received state opioid response funding, and we created a mobile outreach recovery unit. And we really, that started operating that in the fall of 2019, really just trying to get it established, just trying to, do outreach and communicate with people about that program. We hired a person, Joe Cavallo, January 6th of 2020, very aggressive young, passionate young man, and, really started working hard. And then, of course, within 2 months, I guess a year ago today, March 11th, it was designated the COVID pandemic, and literally all of our work kind of ground to a halt with the mobile outreach unit at that point. But, the state government started approving, more telehealth practices, which really is the kind of the nuts and bolts of the mobile outreach program anyways. We have a transit van that's equipped to do, telehealth. We have a small, table in there to do one-on-one sessions. It's handicap accessible. Then we have, a passenger van, and then, a small SUV that that Joe Cavallo, the outreach coordinator, uses day to day. Towards the end of last year, as things started loosening up a little bit, he was able to get more, out on the road more, doing more outreach. And we've had quite a few we provided, a fair amount of service through the mobile outreach program, primarily to individuals who've never experienced treatment before, and primarily people struggling with opioid addiction. And the real benefit of the immediate benefit of the mobile outreach program is being able to connect the person with medication-assisted treatment with our prescribing doctor and with our nursing staff. So we've been doing that on a regular basis. Some of those individuals do continue in treatment. They'll connect with outpatient services, or in a few cases, residential services. So we've seen a lot more work in the last 5 months with the mobile outreach program than we had the previous 5 months. I know Joe Cavallo and others responded very quickly in Washington County a few months ago when there was the opioid crisis, the overdose crisis, and made connections with the law enforcement folks up there, and start talking about Narcan training, making Narcan training available to the community. So that's kind of the flexibility the mobile unit has. Unfortunately, that funding expires March 31st of this year. And Rob talked about connecting the mobile unit to the jail-based treatment program, and that's really a sustainability opportunity for the mobile outreach programs. So we've had several meetings with the Baywood Clinic that is operating the I guess, Rob, it's really a community reintegration program at the Warren County Jail.
The Baywood program is the ABLE program?
Yeah, the ABLE program. So a few weeks ago, we had a video conference with the ABLE staff, with the jail medical staff, Joe Cavallo and myself, and just kind of talk through making the connection with the inmates upon release to mobile treatment services, medication-assisted treatment, peer recovery services, and then also connecting with other, necessary community services that they may need, trying to assist with housing, with other human services, medical appointments, that kind of thing. So, we've made that connection, which, will enable us to keep the mobile unit operating, continue the work that it has been doing, but then also directly connect with the Warren County Correctional Facility. So we're excited about that. And we do, Rob, you may have gotten the press release yesterday. It was from Oasis and the governor's office. And it was, I'm not sure I think they're calling it SOAR 2, State Opioid Response 2, but it's, they had issued an RFP at the end of January. And basically the point of the RFP was to bring consortiums of providers together to expand on the individual smaller SOAR projects that had been funded since 2017. ACCA was one of the founding members of this organization called the Capital Behavioral Health Network. And there's roughly 40 mental health and substance use disorder community-based providers in the Capital Behavioral Health Network. The Capital District hospitals are part of that. And the Albany County Department of Mental Health is a member, Rensselaer County is a member, but it didn't initially reach up into Warren and Washington County. Just wasn't the, wasn't the geographic region of the network. The network was created through the value-based funding planning grant program that OMH issued several years ago. And I think it was there's an Adirondack network that's similar in scope. However, they weren't covering Warren and Washington County. When we had one of the informational meetings with Oasis, Sean Byrne, who is the exec deputy commissioner at Oasis, suggested to ACCA that we write Warren and Washington County into the the larger network grant, which we did do. And so, the funding will this new funding, and we actually don't have a contract for it. It was just announced on Monday. This new funding will include Warren and Washington County. And our project, basically it's an extension of the SOAR program. However, it's creating these, community-wide regional networks of healthcare services. So our proposal, with the funds ACCA is receiving, and specifically in Warren and Washington County, our goal is to expand the mobile outreach unit, which is, the timing's perfect because the initial funding has expired. But we also want to, the network in general is focusing on family services, family prevention services, like we have the Family Navigator program. So our focus will be on sort of community prevention education, training people in the community in what's called, it's a evidence-based practice that we deliver, here in Albany and in Rensselaer County. It's called Strengthening Families. So it's, the people who have been trained in this curriculum, this program, they meet with the children, they meet with the parents, and it's a months-long program. And just it's not just for a situation where there's an active alcoholic or addict in the family unit. It's as much prevention as assisting with the trauma of addiction on the family. So there's more to come on that. Again, like I say, it's a relatively new program, but so we'll be providing those peer and family services in Albany, Rensselaer, and Warren and Washington County, which will again enable us to expand, add like a Family Navigator and another peer to to the mobile outreach unit program. So that's kind of a new thing. I'll forward to you the press release and it's a PowerPoint that the Community Behavioral Health Network put together about the project. So that you can have it up there. I'll do that when we're finished here. If there's no questions on that, I'll let Susan talk specifically about 79 Glenwood, kind of the peaks and valleys that we've experienced there since December of 2019. And again, the valleys are really COVID related. So, but we've gotten our footing again over the last few months. Susan? I put her to sleep? Oh no, she's on the phone.
Maybe she had to step away.
Yes, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry, my phone keeps unmuting and muting. I apologize. My name is Susan Juba. I'm the program manager at ACCA Women's Queensberry Residence. Our program holds 18 clients, 16 being the women, 2 being children beds. It's a stabilization rehabilitation program. We're currently getting the reintegration part of the program as well, which is really hopeful because that way the women can have a longer chance of being in our program and till they transition into the community. Basically, our program it's patient-centered. It's individualized services to meet the patient's needs. We have mental health services here. We have a mental health therapist that comes up twice a week, spends a day with them to do individual sessions and groups with the ladies. We have 4 to 6 groups a day. We also have a prescriber here, the psychiatrist that they meet with weekly as well. We distribute their medications. We provide the MAT services as well with that. We are working with some people in the community. I have a woman that comes from the East Side Center, which is part of the Warren Washington Associations for Mental Health. She comes in on Fridays and does a dual recovery meeting and helps our women with SPOA applications. The women go to the Corey House, which is in the morning. We'll transport them over there for AA meetings. We also have a woman that comes in and will hold a AA meeting here on Saturday nights with the women. We have another woman from Hope and Healing Recovery Center who's also involved with the Friends of Recovery that brings in stuff for the women to do, and she runs groups here as well. We're going to be having another woman coming back because of COVID. She stopped. She does a 12-step yoga program. She has Lemon Tree Yoga Studio, which she also works with senior citizens and stuff like that. Let's see. We work with Warren County and Washington County Drug Court. We have clients of theirs as well. And I'm hoping to link with Northeast Vocational Services for the women that want to stay in this area that might need help assisting in looking for work and stuff like that. That's all I really have. If you have any questions.
Susan, what is the census there? In June of last year, we actually, because the court systems weren't functioning, there weren't referrals among treatment providers, and the hospitals were, obviously very, very absorbed and focused with COVID patients. There wasn't a lot of referrals within the substance use disorder system. And at one point in June, we had one resident in the building. But we made a commitment to the staff, kept the staff, and really tried to build the census back up. And I think now, Susan, we're kind of maintaining a pretty good census. We've had some children recently with us. We may have a child now. Susan, what is the census? Okay, she left me.
Keith, can you hear me?
Yes. I'm just asking about.
I'm sorry. I heard you. My phone keeps muting. I don't know why.
Got you. Great. Because I was going to make something up.
Yeah. No, so right now we have 8 women. I would say about 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks, a month ago, there was 13. And we did have a baby recently. And then the women actually, they'll have their children come in. CPS will bring their children here, and they do meetings here with their visitations. I do have some referrals coming in at this time.
I think, and actually that's a good point. I think, we have a women and children's program here in Albany, and we've had a transitional women and children's program since 2011. And I think when the program first started, we were, anticipating that there would be, all of these children coming with their parenting mothers. And what we found was the residential program actually provides a opportunity for the parenting mother and the child to start reconnecting. So as Susan pointed out, during the week and on weekends, there are regular supervised visits between the parent and the child. And as those progress, they turn into weekend visits. And then eventually they may well turn into a full-time residential situation for the woman, the parenting mother and the child. So there are instances where, the mother comes to the residential program with the child. That's kind of few and far between. However, here in Albany, we've had at a minimum at least 4 children born to mothers while they were in our care, which is always a kind of a fun and interesting situation because all of the other women become, aunts and things like that. So it's good. I mean, it's actually a very, very different house when there are children in the building regularly.
So just for clarification, there can be children in Queensberry, but there just aren't any now.
Correct. We're approved for up to 2 children at any one time.
And
I will say if, if we happen to be in a situation, we won't turn somebody away, a woman away if she has a child, even if it means like the 3rd or 4th child in the building, if we have beds available. So, we really want to be flexible with that.
And I'm sorry, you may have said this, the capacity, is that 13? Is that what you said? Or like, what's the max?
It's 18. It's 18 beds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
13 was
adults and
current
then 2
census.
children.
I think it's wonderful that you've made such great community connections in this short period of time, and you have so many people coming in and providing support. That's really wonderful. Thank you.
I would, invite, I'll invite on behalf of Susan, really any of the community service board members are more than welcome to visit the facility. I know many of you attended the open house in December of 2019, but, shoot Susan an email and walk through at any time. Really open invitation.
I like that idea because it's a really beautiful program here.
Susan, would it be possible you could just put your email in the chat?
Yes, I can.
Or you're on the phone, aren't you?
I am on the phone. That's okay. I can. I have the email that you sent, Keith, and I could put it in there, forward it to you like that. Would that work?
We have it, and what we'll do is we'll include it in the minutes, and we'll send it out with the minutes. That'll be the way to get it out to the board.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to more of these meetings so I can meet the people in the community.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you both very much.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for all the work that you're doing in our community.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Kim, okay if I just go ahead into the informational items? So I think I'll just do that. For the informational items. Okay, I think we have a little bit of a connection issue with Kim, but we'll go ahead with the restoration, the informational items. The first is a restoration of 20% state aid withholds. I think folks are familiar that there was 3 quarters that we had 20% withheld from the state aid for the previous 3 quarters. And they have now made restoration of those funds. We are currently dealing with the issue of how to get those funds out. Now that we're receiving them in 21, they were part of our 2020 contracts. And so we're working with the counties on how to get those funds out to the agencies, and working with the agencies really to determine if they are, had expenses against those funds, or whether they had either cut back or received other funding like through PPP loans that they were able to use to, make up for the withholds. Harry's on the call. Harry, is there anything more we should say about the withholds?
No, not really. Not really. Most of the agencies seem to want the full amount of the withhold sent to them. And if they just can't claim up to the state aid amounts, then we just take it back anyways or recover it. So, but some couple of agencies are taking a look at it to see if they do need all of the money sent to them for the withholds. But most of them so far have want all their money back. So no big.
So it was good news, that they did make good on their word that they had intended to, restore these funds. And so they have done so. I think, receiving federal stimulus, the state, New York State, received more than they, were sort of hoping for, and what they based their executive budget on. So that may have certainly played into it, their ability to do that. Speaking of the New York State executive budget, that's the next item on our agenda. The Conference of Local Mental Hygiene Directors, that's my statewide association. Every year they put together a memo that's kind of an analysis of the governor's proposed budget. And so I did include that in the packet. There's a lot of information here, so I don't want to go through it in too much detail in the meeting, but board members can feel free to read through this. If you have any questions or concerns about, any particular item, let me know, and I can, if I can't answer it, I'll follow up with our conference personnel. They are usually well-versed in everything that's going on there. What I will note is a few items is that there is a proposal in here for a permanent 5% cut to local assistance state aid. And that would be effective then, if the budget passes, it would be effective in April. So if that remains in the budget, that would be in place coming in April. There's a 1% across the board Medicaid cut, but that excludes providers under mental hygiene law. So that would not hit our agencies. Let's see, just a few other items I just want to point out. They do include in the proposal legalization of cannabis in New York State. So that's one of the things we're watching. If they legalize recreational marijuana, they have agreed to establish like a social equity fund, they call it. And so our statewide association is advocating, for some of those funds to go toward treatment and prevention services, because there's some concern even with the legalization that it makes it more available in communities, that youth have more access to it, and that there's still a need for, strong prevention and treatment services. A couple other things I would mention in here. We have had the $60,000 in jail-based services funding from OASIS. That is proposed to be cut in half. So that proposal's on the table to reduce that by 50%. I think the thinking behind that was that with bail reform, the jail censuses tended to drop for a while. And then so they based it on, well, there's not as many people in the jail and not as much demand. But actually, when looking at our jail census, it did dip for a period, but the jail census is still really up at a level that would not, equate to cutting the services 50%.
Rob, are they open to kind of explore, like continuing to monitor that and look at censuses and reinstate whenever we see those kinds of trends, or is that not on the table?
Well, I mean, it's the New York State budget process. So, right. So this is the governor's proposal. Obviously, there are groups advocating to restore the funds and to keep it fully funded. So it's really, just a matter of how the budget process itself plays out.
Thank you.
I mean, certainly Oasis, I think the agency would be supportive of seeing it fully funded, but you know, it's depends on whether the funds are appropriated to that agency. Just a couple other items that I might mention. There is authorization in here to launch what they call behavioral health crisis stabilization centers. This is authorization to launch. These centers would be open 24/7, 365, and accept all admissions without referral, including direct drop-offs by law enforcement and other first responders. This effort will streamline stabilization and reintegration for individuals in crisis. So there's really been a focus on developing a more robust crisis system, and it actually fits in well with the police reform initiatives that are going on and things like that. They're looking for opportunities for these types of programs to help assist law enforcement in the community. Also related to crisis, if you recall, our mobile crisis services are becoming billable, so that it will help make the mobile crisis teams more robust. And then there's also going to be development of a 988 system, which is similar to 911, where people can call in a mental health crisis and be directed directly to mental health crisis lines. Another biggie in here is the executive budget proposal creates a new Office of Addiction and Mental Health Services. They're not actually calling it a merger of the two agencies, but they're really bringing these two agencies together as a new agency. The way they frame it is, we don't want to try to mesh things that are so different together. We want to create a new thing that encompasses both and does it correctly. So that's really the way they're approaching it. So that's been talked about for a long time, but now it actually looks like it's going to be happening. They're describing it as probably a multi-year process. Although the authority for this is effective. Yeah, I forget the effective date, but it's, I think it's January 1, 2022. So they're going to move forward with it fairly quickly. Initially, they'll be working on sort of the back office type of functions, and then they'll be working on regulations and licensing and that sort of thing, rolling that out. There's some proposed changes to Kendra's law, or AOT law. Those are detailed in the memo. I think those are some of the main highlights that I just wanted to point out. So the memo goes through like each state agency. It talks a little bit about Department of Health and some of their initiatives and funding, and then Office of Mental Health, addiction services and supports, and then OPWDD as well. So if anyone has any questions, let me know about that. Shoot me an email. I'll try to get you an answer. Okay, just moving on, then we have in the packets also some forensic reports that are from 2020. I know folks are aware that they changed the chargeback mechanism where the counties were responsible for 50% of the costs when someone was sent to a state facility for restoration if they've been determined not competent to stand trial on felony charges. So I did put together these reports. The portion of the table that's at the top is 2020. And in Warren County, we had budgeted for, the way Warren County does it, they break it out. They have the family court evaluations and these forensic evaluations budgeted separately. And we had budgeted $7,000 for family court and $40,000 for the chargebacks and the examination expenses. We ended up with a bit of an overrun at $41,996, so almost $42 thousand. We were about 2,000 over, but we had 0 expenses in the family court evals. So we were able to transfer some funds to cover that. So we didn't do too badly this year, the impact, even with that change in the chargeback from 50% to 100 county expense. The tables below that just show the prior years, and that's just for comparison purposes. And then there's a similar report here for Washington County. Washington County, once again, got hit particularly hard this year. We had budgeted $35,000 beginning of the year. We ran over those expenses fairly quickly because we had a couple of people that were already in December of 19. And then so that carried in right into January right away. We were hit with a couple of expenses related to defendants that were hospitalized. So we had to amend the budget. We added $30,000 to pay the bills that we had at that time. And then as we got in later in the year, there was another inmate that was hospitalized. And when we did the budget amendment at that point, we just projected as if they were going to be there for the remainder of the year. And this may have been like in October. So we just went ahead and projected like October, November, December. So we amended for 117,000 to bring it up to 182. It turned out, excuse me, that at the end of the year, we just had the 160,942, which is still a very sizable amount. But we had adequately covered it in the budget amendment. Going forward for 2021, Washington County did, in recognition of that shift of 50% to 100% county costs, they have bumped up their initial budgeting to 100,000 for this. Warren County took a different approach. They still remained with it at a lower number, similar to what they did in 2020. Actually might have even been lower, with the recognition that it's a mandated expense, and if we get the expenses, then we go and amend the budget. Okay, any questions on the forensic expenses? Okay, then moving right along. Also in your packet, I did include the standing committees from the counties, Warren County and Washington County. You can see that in Warren County, we are part of the Health Services Committee. This board approves business. And once the county committee approves it, then it goes on to the full board of supervisors. So this year we have Edna Frazier from the supervisor from town of Hague as our chairwoman in Warren County. And you can see the other committee. Been our chair some years past and has been very interested and supportive of our endeavors. In Washington County, you can see that Sue Clary is our chairwoman there. And Sue is very familiar, obviously, with this board and our issues, having previously sat as a member of the Community Services Board. So I'd just like to let the boards know that these are the folks at the county level that, you know, are carrying our business forward, and just like for folks to be aware of that. Okay, in the also have on here our 2020 achievements and 21 goals. Folks will recall that I usually put together a document like this each year, kind of looking at the past year. How did we do the coming year? What are we hoping to do? And actually this year, Warren County, is part of their, you know, sort of department head evaluation process. They've developed a similar format of looking at, you know, kind of like achievements of the past year and what you're looking forward in the new year. So I actually just used their template this year to put this information together. So obviously some of the main highlights for our department and our service system really is, the transition of those outpatient services from the hospital to behavioral health services north. That was a very large undertaking with so many patients, over 1,000 patients, and transitioning those services was really critical. We have made some updates to the county websites in both Warren and Washington counties, and we have developed a COVID-19 grief resources page. We worked with some folks at the hospital and some community partners on that. And that was really during the COVID-19 when the deaths were really spiked high, and families were just devastated because they could not engage in the normal grieving process and gatherings and those types of things. So we did put together, at the request of the counties, the grief resources page. And if you haven't been to our website in a while, you can go and look. We have updated most of our pages. I know people tend to use social media these days, and websites aren't quite as in vogue, I guess, but we do try to keep it updated and direct people there. We figure some people find their way there. We did develop the jail-based addiction treatment services. We were talking about that with the Addictions Care Center in Albany, providing some services in Warren County. Obviously, the Baywood Center also has the ABLE program, which is kind of a bridging program, connecting inmates as they're leaving. And also in Washington County, BHSN's Center for Recovery provides services there. We continue to have a focus on development of the outpatient mental health services in schools. Behavioral Health Services North was an excellent partner in this, and coming in and taking over the services at the hospital. They were interested in expanding school-based services, and they have now have clinicians in Glens Falls City Schools, Warrensburg, North Warren, in Warren County, and in Greenwich and Salem districts in Washington County. So those were all positive developments. The Criminal Justice and Community Services Task Force was quite active this year. Carrie Wright from our office was a co-chair of that, and a number of things have spun off from that, and it's really kind of dovetailed nicely with the police reform initiatives, because everybody was already coming to a table and starting to talk about some of the things that were ultimately then required of the police agencies to look at and review. The Association for Mental Health, of course, has advanced their construction of the 28-unit specialized housing project here on Cooper Street in Glens Falls. And they are hoping for a late spring, summer opening. And so when things get back to normal, we will definitely be having an on-site meeting there for folks to be able to see that facility. It's 28 units, and specialized housing. It's for homeless, and then it's also our population, and then runaway youth. And there may be another category or two there. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to read through everything, but one of the things the forum guides us to is to look at, well, what could have gone better this year? And of course, one of the things we look at that really didn't go well was the fact of Citizen Advocates was our initial provider that we had selected to take over the services at the hospital. And they had pulled out, sort of mid planning course there, and we had to find another provider. Luckily, we were able to have another provider with the interest, Behavioral Health Services North. We ran into some issues with remote working. We really only had 2 laptops prior to COVID for our department. And of course, we have 6 staff. Staff were trying to use home computers sometimes, and home computers had like different connectivity, or maybe it had some issues with connecting with the county network, et cetera. So that interfered somewhat with certain ability to work from home. We had the 20% withholds that were hit for those 3 consecutive quarters. That was a kind of a setback for the system. And then, of course, our office has struggled with getting timely and accurate data on drug overdoses and deaths by suicide. We were hearing, anecdotally that these things were increasing, especially during COVID. And we, really had no way of having timely, accurate data to look at, to respond to. So some of our goals for the coming year then include, as Keith was talking about, the development of that addiction stabilization and rehabilitation and reintegration services for men that the Addictions Care Center is developing. We want to continue to develop school-based programs. We work closely with Jim and the school superintendents and our provider agencies on that. We want to develop a more accurate data collection process. I've reached out to law enforcement and to our local health departments for assistance with this. Continue to expand telemental health capabilities for the providers. We want to correct our laptop situation. We have now ordered new laptops. We got permission from the county to do that. And we'll have everybody fit up with laptops that can connect to the county and can be fully functional when they're working remote, to the extent that needs to continue. We want to develop local crisis intervention training capacity. This is the training for law enforcement. It's a week-long training. And I don't see, I think we lost, did Holly drop off? Yeah, I was hoping Holly would hear this, but she had to drop off, I guess. I was thinking there might be an opportunity that we could partner with SUNY Adirondack and develop this week-long training as sort of like a continuing education course for police officers. And there may be opportunities there. So that's one of the things that I have as a goal. I'm going to explore that. We're developing and implementing a law enforcement addiction and mental health referral system. This is LEMERS. This is an online referral format where officers can quickly make a referral for individuals with addiction or mental health issues when they encounter them in the field, or in a police encounter. And that information will come back to us as our department and our system, and we will work with our providers. Then we can provide like next day outreach. We're also working with the city of Glens Falls on a LEAD project. So that's also part of the law enforcement police reform initiatives. Also, our county veterans offices. We're working with both county veterans offices on the Joseph P. Dwyer Veterans Peer-to-Peer Support Program. Our counties have been receiving funding for this, and due to COVID, they've sort of been in a hiring limbo without a coordinator, but now they're advertising and interviewing for the coordinator position. So we want to help support that. So those are the main things. I just wanted to make the board aware of those. Any feedback that you have on that, feel free to email me or give me a call if you have other ideas or other things you think we should be focusing on. Unless there's any comment here. Yeah. All right. So then we'll Yeah, she had to drop off too. We've had to have a number of folks that had to drop off, so sorry about that. Just another plug for the code member Code of Ethics form and the statement of disclosure. It's a two-sided form. If you haven't completed that and returned it, please do so. If you need a copy, reach out to Crystal. Crystal will be, sending some email prompts or following up with folks if she needs those. All right. Is there any other conversation items for discussion? Any other business we should bring forward? No. So our next meeting will be on April the 8th. We'll continue via Zoom for the foreseeable future. Hopefully we get to a point either later this year, maybe next year, where we can all be reconvening again, and that will be great. In the meantime, I hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and we'll see you again in April.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you, Rob.
You.
Take care,
Joan
everybody.
says get your vaccinations.